Sorry, I'm a little late. I know I said 1:15. It's about 1:20, but you know your boy stays on that CP time. It is what it is. It is what it is. Was good just pulling up stats and stuff like that. Look at the rosters, who's playing, who's not. Did a little bit of research for this. But there's some specific points I want to get into about this game because I think it's going to be really important of what we are looking for when it comes to how the Pistons are going to pull out this victory. But more so than pull out the victory, continue to take the next step in their progression throughout this season. No, they're already at 41 wins. They have far exceeded all expectations for them this season. For the most part, they're playing with house money. But you cannot keep your eyes off the prize. You cannot keep your focus off of anything other than the long-term team, which is an NBA championship. And the reason why I make that the primary focus every single time I talk about the Pistons is because of what you just saw, Grizzlies. They just fired head coach Taylor Jenkins. Now, Taylor Jenkins has had some success, and to an extent, he endured some really difficult scenarios with losing his best player, his MVP candidate in John Morant, for several seasons. In and out of the roster with injuries and suspensions and drama, trying to put it all together. New players, new roles, new contracts. And then you also have the exciting roles of players that have been developing, which he's done an excellent job of. The reality is no head coaching position is guaranteed. There is no true job security. And for JB Bickerstaff, he understands that because he's about to play the team that just fired him last season in the Cleveland Cavaliers, a team that he truly did create the culture and foundation for. Like he truly built that team when it was bare bones. They didn't necessarily have the direction. They still had like Colin Sexton and Laurie Markkinen. They were getting off of those guys and transitioning to this Jarrett Allen and Darius Garland rendition of themselves. Oh man, hey, but this is a Detroit. I'm reading the comments. Y'all all know this is an interactive live when I do my feeds. But hey, keep it 100. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna be in the comment section, keep it about the Pistons, keep it about the NBA. We don't do any wildness. Otherwise, I ask people to boot you out. Robert the Gamer, I appreciate the super chat, my boy. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. The Detroit Pistons, like I said at the beginning, are playing house money for the most part because they're already at 41 wins. And my prediction at the beginning of the season was only about, what did I say, 2 to 35 wins maximum. Maximum. That was if everybody was healthy. That was if everything went right. I saw them at 35 wins. They're at 41. But you cannot keep your eyes off the prize. This team has to continue to take its next steps in their progress. And I want to dive into that in this live. One thing that I'm looking at is the Cleveland Cavaliers are coming into Detroit. They're coming into Detroit. They've actually had a really rough West Coast game schedule. They've had 5 games in 10 days, which meant that they were literally spending more time flying than they were actually playing. And so their legs have got to be close to shot. They played a pretty close game. Well, didn't necessarily watch the game to see if it was close or not. But this game that they just finished playing against the San Antonio Spurs were able to keep it close. Stephon Castle did his thing. He's still trying to make his bid for rookie year. And they were able to keep it within bounds. They only game by 8 points, considering they were playing without Victor Wembanyama and they were playing without De'Aaron Fox. That says a lot for them, but it also says a lot about what the Cavaliers have been going through in terms of the road trip, coming back home, and now being back on the road against the Detroit Pistons. Now, this is what I expect from the Pistons, and I really want to get into this in detail because these expectations, once again, are not necessarily about the win as much as they are about taking the next steps, building a championship contending team. The Detroit Pistons have seen a resurgence from my man, 100 grand Marcus Sasser. My guy, this has been my guy since last season. If you checked out my videos from last season and even over the summer, I've been a percent fan of Marcus Sasser. I think he's a walking bucket. I think he's got far more game than people have given him credit for. There was someone who said on Twitter, on X, now it's called X, right? Who said, look, Marcus Sasser is going to be a career backup. He's just too small. And I said, man, I can see Marcus Sasser averaging over 20 points a game on another team if they gave him 30 plus minutes a game. And they said, no way in today's NBA can a 6'2 guard, 6'1", 6'2 guard average over 20 points a game. And so I said, wait a second. I know a few 6'1", 6'2 guards in the NBA who are averaging over 20 points a game, who are getting starting minutes and playing over 30-something minutes a game. And I ended up making a whole list. But some individuals were Trae Young and Jalen Brunson. Now, I can add to that Darius Garland. I can add to that many other smaller guards who have been able to carve out a starting point guard niche. And I would have to say that one of the major aspects that I would say differentiates between their game and Marcus Sasser's is that they are high-level facilitators. I'll give them that. Those guys are three-level scorers who also happen to be high-level facilitators. And that's simply not Marcus Sasser. Marcus Sasser I don't think he's ever going to be a above 7 assists type of a leading point guard. But he can be an over 20 points per game scoring efficiently on volume point guard. And that means something. So when I think about these Detroit Pistons and this game this evening against the Cleveland Cavaliers, one of the things I'm really going to be looking at is Marcus Sasser. He has got to be big for this team. Now, I know Cleveland is the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They still have their core healthy. I don't know if Evan Mobley is going to be playing because he didn't play last night. Let me know in the comment section if you find out anywhere where it says if Evan Mobley is going to be available tonight, because he definitely made a difference. Defensive Player of the Year candidate, first team All Defense. He is a big time defensive player. Yo, yo, the Gallant 9, Sasser is like a cocky Tony Parker, 100%. Had a different game style. He was far more inside out than Marcus Sasser outside in. Didn't nearly have the shooting range of a Marcus Sasser. And Marcus Sasser doesn't have the interior footwork to be able to score amongst the trees that Tony Parker did. Like when you watch Tony Parker, he was an absolute phenom. At 6'1", 6'2" on a good day, his ability to score on the interior against guys like Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, amongst the trees, he was scoring all day. In the post, at the rim, under the rim. I don't know if Marcus Sasser ever gets there, but I'll say this much though. Marcus Sasser's ability to get to the free throw line, his ability to, well, not yet the free throw line. He doesn't get there as regularly because the refs still don't show him that much love yet. But he definitely takes the physicality and keeps going. He's not a complainer. He's not somebody who's going to argue and yell at the refs. But his ability to get to the rim and finish around the rim, along with that floater, the pull-up jump shot, his ability to hit that step back, his pull back from three, his ability to catch off the shoot. And every single time it leaves his hands, I swear, I think it's going in. I think it's going in. He has one of those shots that's just that pure. And so when I think about one of the players that I really am going to be looking at is, can Marcus Sasser continue this run? He has absolutely been huge for this team off the bench, especially in Cade Cunningham's absence. And if he can continue to score 20 points a game, if he can continue to do so efficiently, spring out the court, taking off that burden from Dennis Schroeder and Tim Hardaway Jr. And I'm not sure what's going on with Dennis Schroeder. It feels like some sort of injury he's having, and that he might be nursing because he just doesn't have that pop. But I think that Marcus Sasser's play off the bench has allowed them to rest Schroeder in a way that I think is going to be necessary to get them ready for the playoffs. But here's another reason why we need to play Marcus Sasser and pay attention to his play. It's because it's really going to start carving into Tim Hardaway Jr.'s minutes as the season winds down and we look at the playoffs. And the reason why is because Marcus Sasser offers more playmaking and facilitating and even defensive ability than a Tim Hardaway Jr. The question is, can he be just as reliable shooting? Now, this isn't to say that Tim Hardaway Jr. has been the most reliable shooter. We all know JB Bickerstaff loves consistency, he loves stability, and he wants to keep things stabilized. He's more than likely starting Tim Hardaway Jr. for the rest of the foreseeable future of this season. However, that doesn't mean that Tim Hardaway Jr., his minutes don't get cut into when it comes into getting back into the game after starting. That doesn't mean that Marcus Sasser or Dennis Schroeder or Malik Beasley don't start completely carving out Tim Hardaway Jr.'s minutes to close out games, because that versatility is going to be essential. Now, when I think about this team moving into the playoffs, Marcus Sasser is one of those asterisks, enigmas like, hey, he can come in and change the landscape of a game, similar in a way that Jaden Ivey used to, where if Cade Cunningham was struggling, Jaden Ivey would turn it on, and all of a sudden he would get 3 baskets in a row and a couple of assists. Get to some of these comments. Joe Pesci says, hopefully we can finally match the Cavs' energy today, but we need more length for real down. No, we do. And that's something I've talked about before. The future outlook of this team is going to be to get more lengthier and more athletic at the forward position, at that specifically the power forward position between Jalen Duren and Asar Thompson. Both of them are very good athletes, great athletes for their position. But because Jalen is 6'10", Asar is 6'7", has really good size, that in-between position, they're going to need somebody like a Jabari Smith Jr. They're going to need somebody who has length, which is why I'm still looking at Bobby Klintman. I think Klintman is going to have a big summer of development, getting his body right, getting in great shape. Hopefully he has a great summer league going into preseason, carves out a role where he can completely take Simone Fontecchio's spot. I can completely see that for next season. Let me see. We got here Joe Pesci. Need more Paul Reed when playing against tall power forwards and centers. I agree with that. I agree with that. The only challenge is the shooting aspect of it, which is why Simone Fontecchio continues to get playing time, and the fact that JB Bickerstaff loves consistency. And we already know that JB Bickerstaff loves that stability of assured lineups, that guys know their specific roles, even if they're struggling within those roles. And that's why Paul Reed finds himself on the out, because he's almost pigeonholed right now as that third string center. Though I do think Paul Reed deserves more playing time when it comes to those situational aspects that against taller power forwards, especially Evan Mobley, or let's say Giannis Antetokounmpo, who we're going to actually have twice at the tail of the season. We have a Milwaukee back-to-back, which should be a really good couple of games. Or even, let's say, against the New York Knicks. All that's to say is Paul Reed should get some more playing time, but we'll see. A couple other guys that I really to take a look at in this game against the Cavaliers. Yo, sorry about that. Sorry about that. It got interrupted. Yo, sorry about that. Sorry about that. It got interrupted. Your boys got kids. It got interrupted. Baby girl was calling Poppy. But nah, I wanted to get into Asar Thompson for this game. Real talk, Asar Thompson is always going to be at the center of what this team does. And then I'm going to get to some of these comments down here as well. But it's to say that Asar Thompson is someone I'm always paying attention to, because his progression, once again, is when it comes to the next steps of this team's evolution and ascension to become a championship team. That is something that I hope JB Bickerstaff never loses sight of, that is the goal. If he loses sight of that, he's going to end up in another situation where he might be on the outs. No matter how good you're doing here, the foundation of creating a culture and getting guys to buy into roles, and that is amazing. Truly is. Truly is. And it's needed in the NBA. By far, there's a lot of coaches who struggle to do that. Just Charlotte, right? Look at Washington is trying to figure that out. There's a lot of teams who don't have the coach do that job. However, if you want to become a championship coach, you're going to have to keep your eyes on the prize and have a plan of ascension and growth to continue to develop to meet that goal of bringing home the Larry O'Brien trophy. And the step from where this team is today to the next step centers around Cade, Ivy, Asar, and Duran. Those four. Ron Holland is doing his thing. He's showing he's right on the outside to be that fifth. But right now, we have got to continue to grow Asar Thompson. And that means, one, making sure he understands the assignment. Don't get into foul trouble. No matter what, no matter what, every single game, that's fundamental. Just like Jaren Jackson, he used to get into foul trouble. Like, look, you're talented, you're amazing, but this team needs you on the court. You have got to stay out of foul trouble. The second part is we need you to demand the ball. We need you to assert yourself as a point forward. That means you can't always wait for your teammates to give you the ball. Go get the defensive rebound and initiate offense. Go be the first one to go get the ball when the ball is being taken out. Go be the one who runs up to the guy and says, hey, I got it. I got it. Assert yourself. The next part is continue to create and play make for your teammates by getting downhill to the basket and utilizing that gravity of your athleticism to force the defense to funnel towards you. That creates openings for others. That part of your game is an essential component of what this team foresees you becoming, Asar Thompson. And so we need you to take the initiative with that. We need you to step into the role. We need you to elevate yourself to say, hey, you know what? This has got to become a standard, fundamental, and reliable component of my game. More than anything, reliable. We need to know you put pressure on the defense. You force the defense to come to you, to gravitate towards you. When you do that consistently, you will solidify yourself as that running mate between Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham. That's what we're looking for. The last few things is we want to see you on the boards. You know, you should be getting at least 6 boards a game. Now, I know that goes hand in hand with your staying out of foul trouble, but Asar Thompson has got to get on the boards. And then we need you also flying around. I know you're tired, 82-game season. You came in late, coming off the blood clots. I can't imagine what that was like, truly. At the same time, we also need Asar Thompson to play his game. We need to know that we can depend upon him to play his game, which is high-level defense without getting into foul trouble. Getting those 2 to 3 stocks per game, steals and blocks per game. Get your boards, get out on the break, and play point forward. We need you to lock down who this team is needing you to be and then improve at it. The person we're looking at is Jalen Duran. You're going to have a hell of a matchup with Jarrett Allen. He's an all-star leader who is better than average in today's NBA. His ability to run pick and roll, to handoffs, like he's essentially playing the way that JB Bickerstaff has been trying to get you to play. Though I think Jalen Duran has more offensive ability in terms of playmaking and getting downhill to create his own shot. But Jarrett Allen is a little bit taller, a little bit longer, and so he's going to have to show that he can impose his will so that he can get Jarrett Allen in foul trouble instead of finding himself out of position and getting into foul trouble. I know we still have Isaiah and Paul Reed, and if the Cavaliers don't have Evan Mobley, it gives us a chance to really control the paint and around the rim. But we'll see how that plays out. Let me get to some of these comments. Let's see. Oh, the Gallant. Lindy should be getting Tim's minutes too. Like I said, I would love that. I think Lindy Waters is going to be pretty much on ice break in case of emergency or there's an injury that takes place. And then more than likely, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets re-signed before Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. He's 6'6". He's only a couple years younger than Malik Beasley, but he's going to cost probably significantly less. And considering the long-term outlook of this roster and their salary situation, it would be a shrewd move for this front office to sign someone who can keep their salary space maximal. Like if you can sign Lindy for a 2 to 3 year contract, let's say 3 years with a 3rd year option, something similar to Simone Fontecchio's, except for the veteran minimum. I'm sure Lindy Waters would love to have the safety of knowing he's staying in one place. For the most part, having that consistent contract. And he's also used to play with Cade Ham, I believe, at Oklahoma State. and so that chemistry there. He also offers more size on the perimeter, and he seems just as athletic as a Malik Beasley or Tim Hardaway Jr. And so having size on the perimeter is definitely something that this team has been needing. So I love Lindy Waters. At the same time, I don't really think he gets activated until next season. I think this season, like I said, JB Bigstaff wants stability and consistency, and he's going to ride with his veterans who have been there through the playoffs all the way through. And so Lindy Waters won't be a break until necessary emergency glass type of a player. And Robinson, Klintman will solve many of the size issues we have next season completely. I completely agree. I keep going back, and I keep encouraging you all to go and look at Bobby Klintman in Summer League. Before his injury, before that injury, Bobby Klintman looked damn good. Damn good. If I'm honest, he looked like a Kyle Kuzma back during that Summer League. Able to hit threes, get out in transition. He made really good passes. He was able to get to the rim, finish. He shows really good open court athleticism, running up and down. 6'10" with a solid wingspan. He shows the ability to be a versatile forward, someone who should be able to defend a little bit more than Tobias Harris can in terms of versatility, even though Tobias Harris shows a lot of ability to defend situationally where he's just smart. He does the right thing. He knows when to wrap up and foul. He knows when not to foul. He knows the foul situation. He knows how to take advantage of mismatch. He is just a solid veteran through. If Bobby Klintman can learn from Tobias Harris, especially next year, and take Simone Fontecchio's minutes, that would be ideal. Because Bobby Klintman has size and skill for that position. Otherwise, I definitely like someone like Jabari Smith Jr., though I think Jabari Smith Jr., by next year, if he doesn't get extended by Houston, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets traded, because there's going to be other teams out there who are going to really, really want Jabari Smith Jr. I can imagine him someplace like Charlotte. I can imagine him someplace like pretty much anywhere. Washington. I can imagine him in Minnesota. I can imagine him all over. Like, there's just so many teams who could use a 6'10", athletic, fundamentally sound power forward who can switch between center, can guard potentially the 3 through 5, moves his feet very well, defends the rim, rebounds, and knocks down threes. And I think he's also the type of player would thrive. A strong offensive system, that is, would thrive. So Jabari Smith Jr. is someone I also really like as well, and I think Klintman has a lot of similarity to him. Let me get to Jerome Passmore. Yo, shout out for the super chat, Jerome Passmore. He says, shout out to Saturn. Never really plays, but came out in the absence of Cade, and he drops 2 straight 20-point games. Facts, big facts. Win or lose, I have to see the same effort we saw against Boston. Yo, that is great points, great points, great points. And shout out to the super chat, Jerome Passmore. Honestly, at this point, I think Marcus Sasser deserves his own video from me, just to acknowledge what he's been doing, because to be able to stay ready like that, you gotta look at somebody like who I would compare him to is like Jaden Hardy for Dallas Mavericks. He's a guy who kind of got slept on coming to the draft, had a lot of talent, shot-making ability. And as they tried to figure out that shooting guard position, they had Quentin Grimes, who's now in Philly. They have Klay Thompson. They had my boy Josh Green, who's now in Charlotte. All these different guards that they had there. Jaden Hardy, they was like, we're going to re-sign him and keep him around. But the thing is, he got dropped down on the depth chart. And I'm honest, by the time all the smoke cleared and Quentin Grimes left and everyone else left, and there was an opportunity for him, he has not been ready. He's had his taken by guys like Brandon Williams. And Jaden Hardy was not ready to step in and assume major minutes. Marcus Sasser, on the other hand, has stayed ready. And only make that comparison just as an example of how hard it is to stay ready. How hard it is to sit there on the bench waiting for your opportunity, knowing it probably isn't going to come. And then when it does, you know exactly what's expected of you. You're playing your game. You're executing the offense. You're putting pressure on the opposition when you're on defense at the point of attack, giving all your energy because you don't know how long this opportunity is going to last for. Marcus Sasser has been big for us. really big. That's a great point, Jerome Passmore. And I appreciate that super chat as well. Let me see. Ed Robinson and Clintman is also another reason why fans need to be realistic about who stays and who goes. Yes, that is totally true. And yes, decisions will have to be made. If Clintman pans out, Asara, Holland, or Ivy must go. You know what? It depends upon your definition of panning out. And this is why I keep saying this offseason is so important, that Trajan Langdon has to manage these contract situations of Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey, and if he can, get them re-signed for under 50. If he can get Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren re-signed for under $50 million, he's going to have the cap flexibility to then extend Asar Thompson, Marcus, Ron Holland, Bobby Clintman, and those are all going to be within roles. But here's the thing, and this is why the draft that Troy Weaver has done is so important. Because what you're recognizing now is that teams do not want to lose assets, which is smart. What you do is you re-sign them, and then you leverage that contract to then trade them for other assets. So even if, let's say, Ron Holland is exploding, he looks so promising, but you can't afford him. But you still got Jaden Ivey playing well, because I think he's going to be the, your number two option, that 1B to K1A, and then Asar and Duren. Those guys just fit. Say Ron Holland is playing amazing and you can't afford him. You know what you can do is you can flip that talent. You can sign another guy like Bobby Clintman. You could re-sign a veteran who has a $20+ million contract and him along with Ron Holland to go out and get maybe 2 or 3 other high-level veterans, similar to how we've got Tobias Harris and Malik Beasley, right? Those 2 veterans have completely helped to reap our entire outlook of this team. That's how you flip an asset moving forward. And so whether or not that they keep Ron Holland isn't as important as maintaining the cap flexibility to continue building around this core a championship contender. And so that is a great point, though, Ed Robinson. One of them will likely go. But I think if I have to choose between Asar, Holland, and Ivy, Ron Holland's probably the guy who's on the outs, if I'm honest. Leading Lions, I never seen Clintman given any opportunity. Yeah, he had a lower leg injury. He had a soft tissue calf injury that kept the beginning of the season. And then he had to work his way back in through the G League team. Is not able to necessarily carve out the minutes for himself. And because the team was rolling so well, and you look at guys like Simone Fontecchio, Tobias Harris, Asar Thompson, guys who play his role, his pivotal role, have been so healthy this year. He just hasn't gotten an opportunity. And that's just the reality of when you actually have a healthy team. Young guys don't really get that many opportunities, especially if they're not ready to contribute right now. Let me see, Ed Robinson, response to leading Lions. Yeah, that's because he was injured. Yep. 2 months for the season. Yep. 2 months at the beginning of the season. It's essentially a red shirt season for him. Facts. Ed Robinson also, Lindy Waters bench for a reason. There are better keeper shooters than him out there. There's also a second up-and-coming classman that are better investments than Lindy Waters. Get realistic, folks. You know what? I mean, I'll be honest, Lindy Waters is the type of low-cost contract the Detroit Pistons should be targeting. And when you look at like the Cleveland Cavaliers right now, who they're about to face, their team, every winning team is essentially subsidized by high-level, high-skilled, cheap salary contracts. That is extremely important when you're paying a Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, and then they went out and got Max Strus. There's a reason why they had to trade Karis LeVert. But now they're looking at a team that has a lot of solid, cheap contract guys. They got guys like Sam Morrill. They've got Isaac Okoro. They've got Tristan Thompson. They got Craig Porter. I think it's Craig Porter or Chris Porter Jr. And then they got my man, what's his name? From Virginia. Uh, 6'6" point guard who has been killing everybody. I forget his name. You guys probably know who I'm talking about. He's been killing everybody. He's on a veteran minimum contract. On a veteran minimum contract. He's been a high level scorer for them. And so when you look at your assets and you look at they got guys like Dean Wade as well. But when it comes to winning, you got to have those contracts. You got to have guys who are on minimum deals who are still able to contribute at a high level to a winning team. And that's the type of player that Lindy Waters is. There's a reason why Oklahoma City Thunder and the Golden State Warriors wanted to bring him in, wanted to find playing time for him. There's a reason. He's a quality vet. Ed Robinson, another point, it's not just about money at that point. It's about role. Clemens given guaranteed 4-year deal. Yep, as if he was a first-round pick. Pistons brass obviously believes in his talent as a potential starter. Completely agree. You can literally draft a second-round upperclassman like a Jackson Robinson, who is cheaper than Waters. But here's the thing. Look, I'm going to be honest. Upperclassmen, yes. Yes. I completely agree with your point. And transition to the NBA is not necessarily always seamless. A lot of the guys that I just mentioned for Cleveland, right? Sam Merrill, right? Isaac Okoro, right? Some of these guys, Dean Wade, it even as upperclassmen, it took them years to figure out the NBA, to be able to be a consistent performer. It took them years, despite coming seniors. And so don't just think that you can replace someone who's ready to contribute right now. There's a big difference. And so you want to have guys who are on minimal deals who can contribute. Upperclassmen are definitely important, especially if you're thinking about getting someone who will fill a significant role. Someone that I'm thinking about also that you guys will probably also agree with is for the Orlando Magic. So I keep my iPad out. Tristan Da Silva. Tristan Da Silva, 6'8", sign forward, who's been a reliable shooter, plays with a high basketball IQ, executes offense. Those are the type of upperclassmen that you're wanting, but many times those guys are gone in the first round. Pistons don't have their pick, remember. Let me see, get to some of these other statements here in the chat. Soletta, hey, D-Dubs, what's good with you, man? It's always good to see you in the chat. Leading Lions, I'd love to hear your perspective on what a perfect Pistons team looks like. What do you think we need from our team, and does our team need to become? Well, I mean, I think the team, in terms of what they need to become, they're already starting off there. Defense. Whoever they bring in now has got to be able to be a two-way player to some degree. The Tim Hardaway Juniors, Malik, those guys have been able to get playing time because they've been able to dedicate themselves to give the effort. But they don't necessarily have the defensive talent or acumen. It's a big difference. They give effort, but they're not known as defenders. There's a huge difference, and those guys are so hard to find who play bins, who can be a quality plus defenders, who can read passing lanes, be a good individual on ball and team defender, who understands their role and position, communicate well. They do the little things like box out and rebound, dive on the ball, a dive on the floor for loose balls without breaking people's legs, calling hot down. Those guys are hard to find. And so maintaining the culture of this team means that whoever we bring in at this point has got to be able to plus on the defensive end, has got to be able to give us something on that defensive end that's not just effort. Effort is fundamental. JB Biggerstaff has solidified that. Now, Trajan Langdon has to do a good job of bringing in guys who support that culture. Guys who come in like a Paul Reed, right? Guys who come in like Dennis Schroeder, right? Who is known for his defense, who's known for being a strong point of attack defender, who's a champion, who's played with the Lakers, who's played on winning teams, right? He was on the 62-win Atlanta Hawks, right? Been to the playoffs. This is a guy who knows how to win, and he plays defense. This is what he's to continue to build upon. The perfect roster, it really is, it's about complementarity. Like the reason why the Pistons won in '04 is because every piece fit. It just fit. It worked. Those guys really didn't overlap each other. And the reason why you don't want to overlap is because you end up with large kind of gaping holes without expertise. You don't have a guy to really fill a certain role, and so you try to stretch guys to maybe do that role. That's why the Clippers never worked back in the day with Blake Griffin, because they overlapped each other and they didn't really fill that void, right, of those necessary pieces. Or when they did have to fill it, they filled it with a specialist instead of really a starter, right? You're starting Harrison Barnes, not Harrison Barnes, but Matt Barnes, basically because you got JJ Redick next to Chris Paul. And so you got to offset it somehow, but Matt Barnes' offense was lacking, and JJ Redick's defense was lacking. So despite the talent between Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Jordan, that wing rotation was just a weakness. It was a huge weakness for that team. So you have to fit. And I think Jay and Cade Cunningham fit extremely well. Asar Thompson fits extremely well with those two. And then Jalen Duren even fits extremely well. But the last component, that power forward spot, really is we're going to see what Bobby Clinton becomes. Because they need someone who can fill that role. And that person needs to be someone with length and athleticism who can play hard, physical basketball and defend the rim while also stretching the floor. I know it's a lot of things, a lot of components. Give us the defense. Give us the energy, right? Because Jalen Duren struggles on defense and energy, right? That's the complementarity. It also has to be physical because I don't think we want Asar Thompson playing the power forward position much. And then we also need to have somebody who can give us something offensively, which is hopefully stretching the floor. This is why we like Bobby Clinton so much. So why I talk about Jabari Smith Jr. so much. And other people point out Santi Aldama from Memphis. But that's going to be kind of the swing position. I think when it all fills out and we have our veterans, we got our Marcus Sassers and our shooters off the bench, we're going to see this final form of a Detroit Pistons championship roster with the core: Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Asar Thompson, Jalen Duren, and likely a Bobby Clinton, Marcus Sasser, with veterans that fill out the rest, and Isaiah Stewart. And I think that's going to come sooner than we realize. That final form, that championship contending roster, I think is going to be in the next 2 years. Next season, I think we're a playoff team again. We're going to be dealing with sophomore slumps and guys figuring out, reacclimating Jaden Ivey. So I think we finish somewhere sixth seed again, the fifth, sixth seed again. But then the year after, I think that's when Cade Cunningham steps into his MVP candidacy. Jaden Ivey is a all-star for sure. If not next year, the year after for sure. Jalen Duren looks like an all-star. And we begin to see this team elevate itself. And we start really talking about them as championship contenders. Then they're going to be able to compete with the Cleveland, the Boston. I think they'll leapfrog the Knicks by next year. So I think that's something to really think about. 2 years, we could be finding this team in their final form when it comes to being a contender. And that's why you have to maintain cap flexibility, and that's why this offseason is so important for trade. Let me see. D-Dubs. Don't position ourselves for New York. We have to keep winning for the dub. Yep, facts. Don't try to lose on purpose. Just keep winning. All about momentum going to the playoffs. Truly, with Dame out, I actually give us a chance to pick up a couple games against the Bucks in the playoffs. I do too. However, I don't think that happens without the Pistons and Bucks being in that 4 or 5 matchup. Otherwise, more than likely, Bucks are losing in the first round. That's what it looks like without Dame. This Bucks team is just running on fumes. Unless Kevin Porter Jr. has this miraculous element in the maturity of his game. He's always had the talent. Can he mature? And can Giannis lead and get the most out of his team? Especially guys like Kevin Porter Jr. and Kyle Kuzma, Andre Jackson, right? Really get the most out of them. So we'll see. Leading Lions, any players we should add that could take us to the next level? I keep saying this. The teams that are going to take us to the next level, the players that are going to take us to the next level are already on this team. They are already on this team. Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Asara Thompson, Jalen Duren. Potentially Ron Holland, Marcus Sasser, Isaiah Stewart, Bobby Clinton. Those 8 guys, especially the second 4, Sasser, Holland, Klintman, Stewart. Those 8 guys have all the talent that we need. If they continue to develop and buy into the culture and the system, begin to meld together, staying healthy, knock on wood, they will be the core that as they grow and mature in their game and develop, right? As Ron Holland increases his shooting, right? We've already seen it increase. Asar Thompson, we're already seeing it increase. If they get to the 2 threes made next season, right, a game, right, finish better around the rim, staying out of foul trouble, right, feeling more comfortable in the roles, right? If those guys continue to elevate, Jalen Duren staying out of foul trouble, learning how to be more consistent with his efficiency, and being able to dominate on the interior as a walking double-double, becomes that Alperen Şengün, Domantas Sabonis, if not a little bit better, level scoring center, right? If Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham become that 25 and 28 point per game scoring backcourt duo, which I completely see them becoming, as this team roster evolves, their championship window will open up with them. We don't necessarily need outside guys. Nor do we need outside guys that take us to the next level. We'll always need supplementary guys to solidify this core. However, the players that are going to elevate us are already on this team. And I think Bobby Clinton could potentially be the solution, especially because we don't have our first round pick this year. He's going to be like our de facto first rounder, along with the big man out of Mississippi State. I always forget his name. He's been in the G League for the most part. He doesn't really get any burn. He doesn't even suit out. But he's a Samoan brother, I believe. He's from Hawaii or something like that. Yeah, something like that. But he's 6'10" dude. He looks like another Jalen Duren type. Not as athletic vertically, but his footwork is right there. Scoring, touch, all that stuff. Lou Damari, what up, man? What up? Ed Robinson, if Waters was ready to contribute, he'd be playing just another end of the bench G League guy. Yeah, I guess you could say that. D-Dubs, okay. Let's retract it. We're close, bro. Let me wrap up this chat here. Get your final comments. If I don't get to it, if you give me a super chat, I'll definitely get to it. Whatever. Excellent point. Appreciate it, Hunter. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Let me see. Yep, we've got our core. Cade, Ivy, Duren, Asar, Beef, Stew, Sasser, especially Ron and Bobby. Yep. Let's see how, if they push on that. Yep. Tolu Smith. Thank you, D. My man. On it. On it. Tolu Smith. I think he's going to be a more than solid third string center. More than solid. I watched him in the G League. What he's doing down there, he looks ready. He looks ready to contribute. I think him and Bobby Clinton should have an excellent summer league along with Ron Holland. I don't even know if we need to play Marcus Sasser. In fact, I wouldn't play Marcus Sasser in summer league. Unless he volunteers to and says, hey, I want to work on some things. Okay, sure. At this point, I think we need to bring in, guys who have been in the system for a while on our summer league rosters, who can maybe continue to fill in roles around the guys we're actually looking at, which is Holland, Tolu Smith, and Bobby Clinton. Maybe see Ron Holland shoot a lot more threes throughout summer league. I want him shooting his ass off in summer league. That's what I want. Ed Robinson, contribute to whose minutes does Tolu Smith take here? Oh yeah, next season he's Paul Reed's. Easy. Takes Paul Reed's minutes next season. He's that third string center that if Jalen Duren is out for any reason, knock on wood, right? If he's out for any reason, I think Tolu Smith comes in and immediately fills in that role. You look at Paul Reed, he's under a 1-year deal. Even though he's only 25 years old, which is hard to, man, it feels like Paul Reed's been in the league for a long time. But I don't think that Paul Reed will be content with being a third string point guard. Third string center. So you mean he takes 0 minutes? Gotcha. But you know what? I'm gonna be honest, man. For these guys, it means something to be on the roster, on the active roster. You sitting at the end of the bench versus being in the G League. The G League is like you really are not in the NBA yet. You're on the roster and you're at the end of the. You're in. You're in. And you put Tolu Smith on a guaranteed deal. That means something. Considering that Tolu Smith is 24, he's a year younger than Paul Reed, but he's also much bigger, much thicker, much stronger. Like he looks a lot like Jalen Duren. And let's be clear, Jalen Duren has had an extremely. It's crazy that he's still only 21 years old too. Jalen Duren has had an extremely healthy season. Has not been this in seasons past. He played 67 games as a rookie, 6 games last season. He's already at 70 games this year. He's already at 70 games this year and counting, right? So if he goes back anywhere near his average 16 games per year, Isaiah Stewart and Tolu Smith are going to become far more important. Far more important. He's actually 7 feet, not 6'10". Let me. Tolu Smith, is he 7 foot? Because when I looked at his measurements before, it says 6'10". Yeah, it says 6'10" on Basketball Reference. 6'10", 254 pounds, playing for Mississippi State. Yeah, yeah. Or maybe 6'11", maybe 6'11". Maybe it was like the 6'2" without shoes. I don't know why they always do that. 6'2" without shoes, who plays without shoes, so add the extra inch to that 6'11". Either way, he's got great measurements. Tolu Smith has great measurements. He's a physical player, good finishing ability around the rim. He's got a spin move, nice little jump hook, has some really good touch around the rim. He's grown to 7 feet. Hey, I'm all for it. Smith has grown to 7 feet. Hell yes, because this team needs more height and length. But hey, y'all, I'm excited about this game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I really want to see who steps up. I really want to see guys play their role, trust the system, but play well in the role, because that's what you're looking for moving into the playoffs. Playing at a high level within your role, being a star in your role. That means Dennis Schroeder continuing to get downhill, setting up his teammates, getting to the free throw line, knocking down shots. Tim Hardaway, knock down shots, tough defense, give us solid minutes. Then we see from Asar Thompson, stay out of trouble, bro. We need you at 30-plus minutes a game. Let's get you ramped up. Don't cut your own feet out from under you by getting into foul trouble early in games. All right? Cut out the silly fouls. Just contain. Play great defense without taking those risks and chances. And I know that's a fine line. It's a fine line. And your athleticism gives you an opportunity to do those things, to take risks. But you have to know when it's necessary. So I want to see Asar Thompson continue to find consistency within that role. Tobias Harris, hey, you've been consistent all year, bro. Appreciate you. Jalen Duren, appreciate you as well. Continue to stay on your train. Continue to be aggressive offensively, especially in the second half. Don't fade out on us. Stay aggressive. Be a leader on this team. And then the guys on the bench, Marcus Sasser, keep doing your thug thizzle, Marcus. Keep doing your, as I put on X, I'll be looking at Marcus Sasser like Boomerang back in the day. Marcus, darling. All right, Marcus, darling, right? My man Marcus Sasser, man, that's the prettiest jumper I've seen since I was shooting jumpers as a young man. Wet, boy, wet. I got a jumper. Facts. I got game. Anyways, Beasley, do your thing. Ron Holland, continue to be consistent. That's what we're looking for. Consistency. Fontecchio, limit those drives to the basket, trying to split defenders. Keep it simple, bro. Catch and shoot, straight line drive. Hard on defense. Get those rebounds. And then Isaiah Stewart. Stay consistent, bro. He's been looking like he's been nursing an injury or something. But hopefully he's doing good. 2 days off, bounce back. Let's see it. Go Pistons. See them tonight against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm going to try to do a post-game video. But yeah, can't wait. End of the season. Playoffs are coming, y'all. I'm going to get at y'all next time. Appreciate all my super chats. Let me shout them out again, my super chats. Let me pull them up. Jerome Passmore, appreciate the love, brother. Appreciate the love. Talking about Marcus Sasser, big facts. And then Robot the Gamer, all right, coming through. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate all the love. I'm going to get at y'all next time. It's your man 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. And I'm out.